pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Heidi, for the financials.
Is there a difference on these, Debbie?
Use the updated.
They didn't both stay updated.
We just have a couple of financials today. There are supplemental appropriations and appropriation transfers in order for the auditors to pay the December OPRS payment. And we have a revenue certification for the enterprise road maintenance fund. Not my phone.
Okay, if we have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Smeeds?
Aye.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Jessica, for the Department of Aging. Good morning, how are you?
So far, so good. So the Department on Aging, we would like to continue leasing at Orchard Hills, Patterson's Fruit Farm. The rent is going up. It appears to be $115 a month. I was asked to look into the utilities and if we subsidize all the utilities. And in fact, I did learn that there are 3 separate meters at the Pattersons for electricity. The clubhouse, we solely utilize that space as our office. The Pattersons have no reason to heat that building, so we do pay 100% of the clubhouse. As far as the party center and the banquet hall, that would be the area that they do occasionally rent out, and they have had about 40, pardon me, they've had about, I believe, 60, let me just double check my number, 60 events in 2013 for a total of 460 hours. That building has 2 separate electric meters. We are paying the HVAC meter only, and they are paying all other electric, ovens, anything in outlet lighting. So we are not subsidizing the electric for that entire facility, which they are also renting out to the public.
So what I was looking at the numbers too, and it appeared based on the relative hours of use, that they use that building about 17% of the time, yet they're paying 37% of the electric for that building.
And you also sent some information on the Department of Aging, the electric.
Yeah, I was
'Cause
asked.
I asked for clarification of that.
I was asked for our utility costs.
Right.
Now, the electric at Patterson's, of course, the heat is all electric there. So if you just wanted to take all of our utilities at the Chardon site, it's $39,610.39.
For electric at the,
Electric.
All utilities.
That's
Which is
all
electric,
utilities.
gas, and water.
Electric, gas,
Sewer.
and water.
Yeah.
and that's how many square feet?
I was unable to get the square foot number.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite a bit, to be fair, that's quite a bit larger building, and also it has administrative staff, not just the areas where the seniors are served.
So we're spending $39,600 in utilities there.
All utilities there.
All
Which
utilities.
is water, sewer, gas, and electric.
Electric.
Water, sewer, gas.
Our
Because the
elec-
other one is all electric.
Right, the
That
other
one's
ones,
all
you just pay
electric.
electric.
Yeah.
That's all. And the water
It
and
is what it
sewer,
is.
there's
or
no charge.
No
for it.
charge for it.
So-
And first, pardon me.
So we're paying, and what was our total we paid in utilities at the Patterson Center?
In 2013, the entire utility cost was $15,402.26.
And that was just for electric.
That was for electric.
All they have, right?
That's all they have. So that was the heat.
So that's the total heating,
That's the HVAC.
lights, the works,
That
right?
is for the HVAC in the party center, and then for all electric in the clubhouse.
Okay,
15,400.
yeah.
Right. And if I can break it
So-
down for square footage, we are leasing 6,000 square feet. They didn't include their snack bar in their lease. So excluding the utilities, this year we would be looking at $4.83 per square foot. If we were looking at including utilities into that cost, we'd be looking at 7.397 a square foot.
That's not really too bad.
Well, and the comparable we
Actually,
looked at is
no.
what we charge the county board of ed, because they leased the space across the street building number 2. And they have a comparable around 6,700 square feet.
6,516 square feet, and they're paying $10.36 a square foot.
Quite a bit more we're getting in revenue than we're paying for stasis. Not the same, but roughly close.
Well, this is business.
So let me ask you a question. Received a number of phone calls on this. The geographic location of where the Patterson Center is, as far as to serving Geauga County, the goal for us to have that there, or in that location, was more to serve the western end of Geauga County, correct? The thing is that's actually closer to Kirtland than it is to Russell. And I mean, and I had this discussion with Dave, I don't think that we're disagreeing that there's, you know, the square footage price is okay. I don't know why all of a sudden we have a 10% increase, you know, in the cost of the square footage or in the cost of the rent, because that's a big dollar amount.
Well, and I would like to clarify that. Thank you for bringing that up. Once I analyze the numbers, it actually is a 5% increase.
Okay, because I thought
It's
last
up-
week
it-
we had said it was 10%.
So it's
And-
five.
You said 115 a month, and
It's,
it was
yes,
how much?
and
20,
because I looked at the
30
numbers, we did have the wrong number written down for 2013's rent, so I'd like to apologize.
Okay.
But it appears to be a
5%,
5% increase.
Okay.
We had how many, we have, okay, I just wanna make sure I had that clear. We have 750 seniors service there,
Yes, we have over 700.
and then at the senior center in,
Chardon,
Chardon, how many?
over 800.
800, so it's fairly comparable.
Almost
And about
half.
100 to 150.
Yeah, fairly comparable.
And on an average day, how many people will be in there?
On an average day, it depends on, it really varies depending on the programming. I could give a guesstimate, but I really would not.
Because that's the only thing that's, I guess my only concern is this, is that, and I talked to actually one of the volunteers that does, that actually does the, with the Department of Aging, and they said that there's many days that there's 4 people, you know, 3 people. And it's just, I know that the number of saying like there's 750 people is, you know, throughout, I mean, if you have one big event and you have 400 people show up over the course of a week, and all of a sudden we say, well, there's somebody that used this, there's somebody that used it, and that goes to a bottom line number, but it's like a membership. You could have 700 members, but how many people actually, you know, use the pool, and how many people actually belong to the pool? And that's, so at the end of the day, it comes to the point where, and I'm just looking at this on a numbers position of being, just looking at it as a business, and we need to focus on it as a business, is if we have, you know, I don't know, 30 people a week that come in to use it, it's a huge price to pay for that. And I guess the other thing is this is, what is the chances of us actually reaching out to some of the other churches? Or I know that yesterday I was was over at the courts, and I think it was the sheriff actually that brought up that, you know, there were some churches that before had participated in this, and this was before my time. Is like, what's the possibility of us either looking for something that actually serves more of the people, as far as putting restraints on them to drive all the way to the Patterson Center, you know, close to that border, where we could have something centrally located where the masses of our population is, you know, Bainbridge, South Russell, Chesterland, kind of that core group, that if we're gonna get to the middle, where I'm saying we're not far from Merritt on there. It's hard for me, and my position on this is, I think we need to have, and I talked to Dave yesterday about this, as far as trying to go with the month to month, and he said that there would be a change of price, that it would cost us more because they want to have a commitment of X number of dollars coming in. But I think that to commit to a year, we're committing to a year to not really pursue something immediately. Is there a way that we could to do it like maybe for 6 months? I'm not saying that tomorrow you're going to find the perfect place, but I actually went through and I contacted Remax Realty yesterday and followed up with them, because they used, and I came to learn, talking to the real estate agent, that I guess Sally Bell had tried to buy that church that was on Mayfield Road, I
Where
wanna
they
say it's
were
either
before.
Cheslin or Munson.
Yeah, that had a lot of
Chester-
problems.
Just east
And they had a lot
Started.
of issues with the
issues,
building, so
yeah.
it didn't make sense to necessarily buy it, but
Yeah.
from what I understand, they sold that thing for just shy of 200,000. But it was like, even if you looked at this long-term to say, okay, if we're spending, you know, $50,000 a year in rent, I mean, for us, it would be advantageous for us to almost look to actually buy or build something long-term, because we know the issues of the Department of Aging. It's going to be something that there's going to be more and more and more demand on it, that I support 100% to assist your organization to get something 100%, but to sit there I know that the square footage price, I'm in retail, I know what I pay, that's a great price, it is. It's just that I look at it long-term to say, what really could we do for just possibly even a little bit more to make us be able to be that much, stronger for down the road, to have a facility that we can serve the residents of our county, that much more, where there's gonna be that much more demand for needs like this. And
I think that would be something that we should look into.
Right.
Because like that church that you were suggesting
Right.
before, there was so many issues with that property. It was
Right.
more than just, you
But
know.
it made sense if it
But
would've,
if we
if
could
it would've,
yeah, if it
would've
would've
worked for us.
If we could find something down in that area somewhere and consider
Centrally
a
located.
building
Yeah.
of some sort.
Yeah.
But I said, right now, I think we have these seniors kind of waiting
Right.
to come, we
So-
would be putting them on.
So where do we stand as far as to not have to have like a 12-month commitment to revisit this?
I would appreciate a 12-month commitment so
Right
that
now.
I can get all of our houses in order and have the opportunity to experience all of our outlying sites, understand more of the day-to-day operations. I would really like that opportunity, being that I've been in the position of 3.5
And we
weeks
can,
on
we
my
can
own.
aggressively look at this, I mean,
But
given
I
my,
think it
this
might
is,
take that long.
Yeah,
I
given
wanna think
government,
about
I
it,
mean,
to
especially
build
the
it,
thing
put
about
building.
something in
I
place.
100% agree, and
Yeah.
my goal was to continue this lease for a year, and I can honestly tell you, I am not aware of only 4 people accessing the site. I was guesstimating more around 20 plus people a day, and because we do serve congregate meals and we do meals on
Right.
wheels out of that location as well. So I'm not aware of only 4 congregate meals being served, so I'm not sure. I would like to, do this for a year and then go out to bid
Could we-
and look
But
at
maybe
many, many
start
Oh, look at-
looking.
no, we should
I
start
think it'd be
looking
good to
now.
start looking
Right.
now.
because it may take that long.
What if we
take
put
that
an end clause in where we have to give him certain months' notice to
I
be
believe
able
that's
to vacate that agreement if we did find something?
Is there an end clause in it?
I did not bring, I only brought,
Yeah, there's probably,
But it would
I mean,
probably, in my
he's
opinion.
expecting a commitment of a year's worth
Yeah.
of rent.
yes.
I think it would take almost that long, even if we found some place and then started to build and do it.
I
We'd
would've,
still need a place for us to be in, and I think if we wanna do this, we should aggressively go at it, and I think that's.
Yeah,
what
because
I
that's
feel.
why if we had the ability of having an end clause, I don't have a problem to say, let's, we can do this to get this going. The thing that happens too many times is we have a year, so let's let 6 months go by, and then all of a sudden now it gets to the point where we start crunching to try to
No,
get
we
this.
can't wait that
We
long.
can't
gotta
wait that
start
long,
right
and
now.
and at the same time, if we find the perfect place, if we have the ability, in a lot of the agreements, I mean, where you have the ability to say, okay, Mr. Patterson, I can't, we're going to cancel this term or this lease effective August 1st, and we're within our guidelines of saying we have to give them 30 days notice, and maybe even have it so that I want this a win-win across the board, even if there's a certain dollar amount that we have to pay, but to save us on having to be responsible for the full amount, where we have to pay, 30% of what the balance is left of the terms, or something to be able to prorate it.
Penalty.
Yeah, so, but it gives us ability is if we find a prime place, and I put a number of calls out yesterday, and I had a lot of good feedback. I actually talked to somebody that even has a piece of property in South Russell that said that there might even be a possibility of us getting an actual property donated.
The only issue going down that far is we do have the center in Chagrin Falls Park.
Yeah.
So you wanna
You don't wanna be
you
too
wanna
close
stay
to
a little bit
that.
north. I mean, like the south part of
I
Chester
still
would be
think-
perfect.
right now we
I
need
see.
to.
If I may, I would appreciate a year, as I will be bringing every contract to all of our senior centers to you in the next few months. And if in fact I have to look for alternative options for all 4 outlying sites, that may consume a bit of time. So I would very much appreciate
This,
a year so
I
that I
have-
can do this.
I have no problem
Yeah,
with what's here.
yeah.
I understand what Ralph's saying, and Mary, and David, and I concur that we need to put this on the fast track to find another site for this. But I also understand that when we look for another building, it may not be set up, and there may need to be, whether it's through the landlord or whether the county has to provide fixtures for inside the building and whatever furniture and so on is necessary. And I'm not familiar with that, so I don't want to say something strange or put words in your mouth, but I can understand where it could be. I mean, we're already into February already, or almost, so a one-year deal is gonna take us through to February again, so, you know,
Oh, doesn't this
With
end
your
at the end
other-
of January though?
Yeah. in
yeah, it
January.
starts
31st,
February
yeah.
1
Yeah,
and
yeah,
until
February
January
31st.
31st. My only issue, and I brought this up to David yesterday, with these buildings being fully electric as far as the heat and so on, and I don't expect you to know this, I just, I would like to ensure that they have, you know, programmable thermostats that we're not heating the building, especially the party center, at
When it's midnight.
65
Yeah.
degrees when we're not using it for some days, and to bring the temperature down to, you know, a minimum at that time. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're probably already there.
Mr. Patterson did verbally tell me on the phone that he does keep an eye on the electricity and ensures that the thermostat is down after business hours. Whether his thermostat's programmable, I can't answer.
That's what I said, I don't
Check
expect
that
you
out.
to
We
know
can
that.
check into it,
That
though.
was my only real concern, is that if we have to do this and we're paying the electric bill, that we ensure that we're being as conservative and thrifty as we can with that. I agree with Ralph that we need to look for a more centrally located facility than in the extreme northern part of the county. I mean, that's only half, 3/4 of a mile from the county line, something like that.
See, at the time, when,
Well, you
when
lost
that
the other-
one place came up, we really wanted to do that, buy what, you know, we wanted to get a place. But remember, at that time, we were just putting the jail in, we had a $14.7 million debt sitting there on our face, and then there was so many problems with that property, but that was one of the things we did want to do, to look for a place, because it seemed to me at the time too, it's always a lot more real when you own it rather
Well,
than somebody else.
In Chester.
But meanwhile, we gotta do something, and I bet even if we find a place, it's gonna take,
It's gonna take 6 months.
it's gonna take
Just
to a year.
Yes, sir.
What is the place,
started.
the location in Chagrin Falls, is that owned by us?
No, we do not own any of our sites except the Chardon. Our Thompson site is Grace Lutheran in Thompson. Our Chagrin Falls Park is their community center,
And
and the
we don't-
Middlefield Community Center.
And it's the actual, the Bainbridge's Community Center?
Chagrin Falls Park.
Chagrin Falls Park, it's in Bainbridge Township, but it's in Chagrin Falls Park.
And that doesn't cost us anything?
Yes, it
Oh,
does.
yeah.
Yeah, we have contracts for all of our sites, and I will be bringing them within the month to you.
And what do you think that is?
I would prefer not to
Yes.
tell you what I think it is.
Yeah, you wanna know for
I would
sure.
like to give you the
Let me
accurate
ask you
number.
this then, I mean, this.
I can tell you that it is at least $2,000 a month.
Okay, because, you know, this is something that Mary made sense with, as far as all of a sudden now we're in Chagrin Falls Park area. If we get too close, we're gonna, but
Cuyahoga County.
what's the possibility of us then looking at the possibility, if we've got two going there, let's hypothetically say we got 2,000 there, we've got
700 over there.
Which was
No,
this year.
it's like 20.
This was,
2400
Put them in the middle,
Plus utilities.
although.
2,415, if all of a sudden we put something in the middle, we've got an operational of $4,500, if that's 2,000, if it's bigger,
Right.
it's even more, of putting a nice facility that we
Right.
own, that we don't have to be accountable to anybody.
Putting Russell right in the middle, ideally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
And
sense,
now
yeah.
you're feeding on everybody, and it's a super convenient thing, and then we serve the masses there, you know? And we could eliminate that, and it's always an issue too, having, you know, it's a touchy issue where, you know, I think that a lot of times this type of a situation, I don't like this because of the fact that, and this is something that we came into, I came into here and, you know, but it's almost like,
We
this
didn't
is
like
where
it
the
this
bid
way.
process sometimes is nice to have, because.
Well, they tried to solicit bids, they're just,
Yeah.
He
you
was the only
know,
one that.
There was a
You don't
lot of,
bid.
you know, they had it at the high school for a while, remember? It was at the, wait, I remember. It
I
used to
think-
be at West G.
Okay.
And and that got too small. So then it went over to that church, and then
Okay.
we thought, hey, we need to build a place. And then that
and if
kind
you're
of,
serving meals, you gotta have
and we
the
thought, oh,
ovens, you gotta have
200,000,
the.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think before you
So-
go too much further in that, you need to, because aren't a lot of these people transported by the department, by our,
But at the
Transit.
West G site,
Just
not
G.
so much.
okay.
Yeah, a lot of those.
Because
A lot
if
of
you're
them
gonna
live
bring them from
there.
Chagrin
There's quite a
Falls
big-
and
No.
bring them from
No.
the northern borders to a central
Chagrin Falls, they
location
stay there.
would impact, if you put one in the center, like in Russell or something, how are you gonna bring them to and from, and what impact
The
does that
transit
have?
costs might go up by
Right,
$6.
what expense that has.
Same thing with Thompson, Thompson's very low volume, but it's way out there, so do you put more into transportation and bring them down to Chardon?
Right, my immediate other issue,
That's a
or
good
question is that because of the economy being the way it has been for the last number of years, there's a number of retail sites, buildings that have a lot of square footage.
Right.
That are empty. Now, you know more about this because you run a
Yeah.
retail outlet, but they may be, some of these places that have a large room may be willing to cut a pretty good deal on that, because what they get from us is a heck of a lot more than what they're getting now, which is zip.
Nothing, yeah.
And you know, I'm not saying there are places like that. I'm not sitting here and making that assumption. I'm sitting here and saying there may be places like that in central Chesterland, along that Route 322 and so on.
Right.
It would be interesting to explore that possibility, but that's going to take some time. And in the
We need to
meantime,
move this.
I would think that, in fairness to you, since you've been here a very short time and apparently didn't have a heads up on this, that I don't think it behooves us as the board to burden you unnecessarily with trying to come up with something in the next month or two. And you're saying that the other locations this needs to be done for the other places
Yes.
as
I
well.
I will be bringing the contracts to all the other locations, as I'm getting everything in order. And my goal is for this year to explore all of the sites, understand why our clients go to that site. Would they go to another site? Why do they go to this site? Does it meet our needs? Our programming needs, does it meet the client's needs? I'd like to assess each and every individual building. I don't think this can be done in a very short
No,
amount of time.
and we're not, I don't think
So
that's
that's why
our-
I'm asking for a
Right.
year,
Yeah.
and I would like to ask for your,
My other
to do all of
issue,
this.
my other question here, and this goes to what Ralph was saying, to a degree, when you size these facilities, you have to size them for the potential number of clients. I mean, I answered this question 1,000 times. Well, why are the school buses running empty? Because there's a route, and there's 45 kids on the route. If 5 of them decide to ride the bus that day, and the other 40, their parents take them to work,
To school.
we have no control over that. We have to send a bus out for 45 kids. Same thing with this, if we have a number, some hundreds of people who may use the facility, and they choose on that day for whatever, not to use the facility, and we can't downsize and base it on the fact that there aren't that many people there today, as much as we'd like to. We still have to have a benchmark of how many people can we or are we expected to serve.
And also, if I could add, there's on this here,
There's
which,
a 30-day term.
there's a 30-day, so it says termination, leaseor or leasee may terminate this lease for any reason or no reason upon 30 days of written notice to leaser or leasee, which kind of gives us
A little time.
a breath of air there to say, if we could get this thing wrapped up in, say, 6 months, you know, we don't wanna put a, you know, kink in this whole, operation there and put these people out, but, yeah, I
That's a
think
good
that's,
idea.
that's a good
Yeah,
That's a
position.
good idea.
That's in there,
And then
yeah,
maybe
that
we
you're
can
covered.
get that,
Yeah,
that
it's
codicil in there.
right in there, so.
Yeah.
Do we have a couple of comments?
Just a comment, speaking as a senior citizen myself.
Okay.
No.
A central location would make a lot of sense to
Yeah.
me. As a senior citizen, I don't think I'd be riding there on a bicycle or walking to the place. Where it's located would be relatively irrelevant. I'd either be taking my own car or I'd be taking public transportation. And I think that probably speaks for a lot of people.
Okay. So you're saying more of a centrally
I
located?
think something's one place centrally located,
Like on the
maybe
western
combining
end.
several facilities all into one.
Yeah.
Makes a lot
We
of
have
sense
the east
to me.
one, we have the west.
And we could offer more.
Yeah.
You could offer more, definitely.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm thinking about what Sally Bell would be saying if she's sitting here, and
Well,
she'd say,
Sally's not here.
we've done, no, I know she's not here, but the way this has evolved over time was based on the input of the citizens they were serving at the time. Now, that changes, so we need to continually be questioning that and looking at that. But the fact that they're spread out was kind of based on the input that clients over the years have said, hey, we like our neighborhood senior center. So you just have to,
And that's what I'm hoping, you know, in fairness, I would like a year to assess all of the sites. So I was hoping
Yeah.
for 1 year of
Yeah.
a continuance of
Right.
what's happening, so I can see and hear things with my own eyes and
Right.
ears.
Right.
We
and-
survey the folks
Yeah, I think
periodically.
that's-
I would like
Fair.
to do that.
Do a survey of
Yeah.
the
Absolutely.
clients
Yep.
And pop in unexpectedly and just, you know,
Cause Jessica, are we putting, like, on those facilities, and I'm embarrassed to say that I don't know this, but you know, that's why we've got you, obviously, is, do we have, like, in that kitchen for the people that are cooking in there, do we pay for the help at that, for the cooks and?
they are our employees. They are a food aid / maintenance worker.
so
they're not
ultimately-
cooking, they're
They're
bringing
reheating.
in
Reheating.
meals that have been
Food is
prepared.
Yeah.
cooked at the central location.
Sometimes they bring
I believe.
boxes.
Just as our main center, Valley Food, drops off.
So then if we combine locations, I mean, we're duplicating, triplicating help across the board where we
Yeah.
have
Oh, sure.
one set of hands, one group of people that, I mean, we're triplicating services
Yeah.
many times, and it's,
Exactly.
I mean, this, I think the savings is beyond what we're really seeing off the surface, that we support you 100%, and we're gonna work with you 100% to make, it's gotta make sense. And I think this is perfect for us to be able to have this relationship of you coming in as the new director, us being here to being able to get this new to us in the sense of this coming up, and it just opened up my eyes to a lot that we definitely need to look at that.
I definitely think we need to put some plans in place, but like I said, while we're looking at plans and looking at options and thinking of a bigger picture, I would like to continue,
Yeah.
you know, the path that we're on.
I think that makes.
Let me ask this question in that, I'm under the impression, I just said something and then I thought, maybe I'm wrong, that the meals are prepared in a central location, is that correct?
That is, let me just tell you exactly what
From that
happens. So
Valley
every
Foods.
morning, we have a company called Valley Foods. They have semi-cooked food. They
Okay.
bring it to the Chardon site.
Right.
And then we have our food workers at Middlefield and West G come to the Chardon site and take their portion of food and take it to the outlying site. At that site, at a certain time, they put things in the oven
They
and start
finish-
feeding.
finish
They
preparing
finish
it.
the
Warm
final,
up.
Regionally.
Yes.
yeah,
warm
to
up.
stay within certain nutritional guidelines.
What do they do at the Sugar and Falls Park? facility?
There-
Same or?
They do not do Meals on Wheels out of that location because there is a Meals on Wheels within a very close proximity.
The
Home
churches
delivery.
in
Yeah,
Sugar Falls.
the church in Sugar Falls
do
does
that.
Meals on Wheels, so we don't.
Home delivered.
Home delivered meals, pardon me.
And they're real specific, when they serve those meals, everything is really balanced out. I watched them do it.
They
and
have to scoop the food
They have
into
to
each
scoop it a certain
pre-measured.
way so that they
Yeah.
get X amount of meals out of that.
They come in.
They don't give you extra, I mean.
Like banquet
Yeah.
sized, we have to portion
Oh,
it out
it's
and seal it and
good.
then bag up the
I
fruit and
was
any
surprised.
additional, and also, sort out the therapeutic diets.
Yeah.
So the savings there may not be,
We're still gonna we'll need more I mean, you know,
We'll need-
well, I
we'll
mean,
need more
if we
equipment,
can't,
more
we can't
people to work.
centrally locate it in
It's already-
and then have satellite, locations where we take out the food already prepared and distribute it, and those are food service workers, but the cooks and so on are back at the location. We kind of have a blend of that.
The food service workers are essentially cooks.
Okay.
I mean, everyone is
All right.
reheating the food,
It's
so
a warm-up.
I don't know if we would save in staffing costs because we would have increased, increased ovens and we'd still be serving the same amount of people.
Okay.
We just would save the time it takes to drive from, site A to site B.
Skip.
Yeah, just a couple of comments, and I have visited the senior center in West G, well, all the senior centers as far as that goes, when I was a commissioner. And what I noticed in many of those is that you have a few people sitting there playing cards. You have various events, like Ralph was saying earlier, or as you were saying, you have these focused events, but generally speaking, the average attendance is relatively low. People are in there playing cards. And when I asked the question, I would go up and ask them, if you didn't have this place to go play cards, where'd you go? Well, we'd go to McDonald's, we'd go to a church, whatever the case happens to be. So basically,
Well, there
the
is a
taxpayers are
McDonald's.
paying for them to play cards,
Mhm.
okay? I don't know how I feel about that, but I might suggest to you, I like the idea of centralizing a facility because you can get a lot of economies of scale in that situation. But I would also say, if you're looking at maybe reducing the cost or making things more efficient, Ralph had alluded to this, and I think it's a great idea. Create a relationship with some of the local churches where you have satellite locations. I know Mayfield has got a huge kitchen that sits there idle most of the time. They would probably love to cook meals during the day. And so I would suggest maybe setting up some relationships with some of these other facilities who have huge investments in their building, their kitchens, and yada, yada, yada. They have to meet all the federal requirements and state requirements and so forth, because they have all of that infrastructure. We don't have to create it, it's there. We just have to have a relationship. And so, I'm just throwing that out to you to say, there may be some innovative things that we can do where the central facility is actually smaller
Was it?
and optimized for a specific
Like a
purpose.
smaller-
And yet you've got these
smaller place,
satellite
you know where it is?
relationships that can
Mhm.
then supplement
From the
that,
village.
which may
Village,
increase a lot more
it's the village,
flexibility.
like,
Sure, and I
community
thank you, I
house.
appreciate your comment.
But it's not
you know,
that large.
As I'm in the process
It's
of
not
organizing
Sure.
and just, I'm saying cleaning, getting the house in order, I'm planning by the end of this month to really, feet to the street with my PR, to go to schools, to go to local churches, folks in the community that I get to know. So I'm sure along that journey, I'm going to see some different sites
You
and
can
get
have
some
a network of
possibilities.
facilities. I actually am
Exactly.
very encouraged by what I heard you say, and that is that you're gonna do a study.
Yeah.
Because that will help you to know really how great the real demand is.
Maybe not a study, but an assessment.
Yeah, I mean, you can
A survey.
kind of do a customer survey, to find out who's
But a
there,
lot of
what's
times the
purchases
churches,
there.
one thing to look into, because we want to have access all the time, that can be an issue for some churches because they're not, I don't know if they want you to be in there like, I still think our own building is the
Well,
way.
Patterson's
I think the
not
bottom
open
line
24 hours
is,
a day.
Yeah.
we need to
Patterson's
look
is
at
open 24
this.
hours a day.
Excuse me?
It's
I
got fixed
think-
times, Patterson's, West G. It's not there 24 hours a day, it's not open available 24 hours a day. And so churches operate on Sunday, and they have evening events, that kind
Yeah.
of stuff, so.
I think the bottom line with this issue is,
So,
we
okay.
have a new set of eyes, yours. We need to look at all facets and aspects of the program, you. And then come up with all the different scenarios and bring them to us and meet at a later date in time and say, yeah, these churches are available. These senior centers can be located in here or there, and maybe you, you have less, maybe you have more in smaller capacity to have them located, and they don't offer quite as much, and the meal is delivered as home delivered meals are to a smaller site. Those are all questions that I believe need answers, and I would say, I can't speak for the other two, but that would, I'd be in favor of voting for this with the fact that we can
Look into it.
go out, but with the caveat that you will be actively looking for.
Okay.
Yeah, now I'm gathering from the conversation that this is coming to a motion and you will be voting on it. Is that a correct assumption?
We're out of there on the day after tomorrow.
Okay. All right, so before this comes to a vote, I would be very grateful just to ascertain that there isn't any potential conflict of interest on the part of any commissioners with regard to the ownership of Orchard Hills Center. And I think perhaps we need clarification on that. Mr. Blake, could you
I
start?
have nothing to do with that. You mean we're in at the Patterson Center?
At the Patterson Center and with the ownership, we're talking about the Patterson.
You grew up in the area
Yeah.
with the.
Well, I've known him my whole life, but
Right.
that's not, I mean, I've known a lot of people my whole life, but,
True, but does that create less than an
getting
arm's length
revenue stream
relationship
from
for
that?
you?
no, I have nothing to do monetarily or other than, hi, how are you, you know.
Didn't you grow up together? Aren't you best friends and buddies still? Didn't you grow up since childhood and you're still best friends? I mean, that promotes an air, I think, of a conflict. And saying that, I want to make sure all the commissioners are aware, Mr. Patterson, who was the park board member, used taxpayers' money to promote Patterson Fruit Farm. It was a direct violation, and now you, commissioners, want to continue a relationship with that individual. I have a big problem with that, and I'm sure the taxpayers of this county have a problem with that, too.
Yes.
Well, to answer your question, no, we're not best friends. He's older than I am. He lived in one house, I was born one house away from it. So I've known the family forever. I knew his grandfather, who used to ride me around on a tractor. We don't socialize regularly. I see him at functions like you would see him or any other community member would see him. So I have no personal involvement with the Patterson family at all, other than to say hi. I'm as close to Skip as I am most of the Pattersons. I know them.
My dad didn't ride you around on a tractor.
No, that was Grandpa. That was NC.
I did ride on a tractor, but.
Yeah, that was NC. But other than that, it's no different than anybody else in the neighborhood when you're a little kid growing up. That's the only involvement I have with them.
And for Jessica, I do have a question. You referenced speaking to Mr. Patterson. Did
Yes.
you speak to Bill Patterson, or did you
Yes,
speak to
Bill
Jim Patterson?
Bill Patterson on the phone.
Bill's the son, right?
Yes.
Jim's son.
That was the number that was given to me to contact, and then the lease was between our prosecutors.
But I do have to reiterate, and typically I don't say anything, but I do have to reiterate that what was referenced here by Mr. Klein is fact regarding events and actions involving Mr. Patterson. And I would suggest great care and prudence as you act in any capacity on this issue. And it is extremely urgent that this board retain the aura of answerability to the voters, and also that there is no subterfuge, that there is no connection whatever with any kind of questionable ethics or morals that may be occurring in this county.
I would suggest you err on the side of caution and just abstain from this particular vote.
I would suggest to both of you and the gentleman in the back that any implication that you try to make that links me with that family, other than friendship, is preposterous.
I didn't hear me link it. I asked this
Uh,
board I ask this board to act with caution and prudence for the
Okay,
future.
and
that's
we,
different.
remember that some of us on this board, this is the first time we've been asked to act on this. And what we're doing, let me finish. What we're doing is try to act responsibly. Now, if you have room for these people at your house, we can bring them there on Monday.
I'm not
But,
sure
but I'm
that's
just
the
saying,
issue.
but without those
No,
without
no,
this, we have
that's
to
not
have
the issue.
something that we adopt today. We have a clause in the contract that allows us to get out of this deal as soon as
That's
we
excellent.
can. So we're being dealt a hand
This
that
seems
we
to
didn't
happen
know
a
was,
lot,
we're
that
being
you're
dealt a
dealt a
hand
hand.
that we didn't even know. I found out about this yesterday, okay? I have to, act responsibly
I hope
to do this, to do something to house these people. And any implication that there would be anything that would link me financially to any of these people is preposterous, and I will adamantly fight that allegation.
Well, I don't think there's anything to fight when it was simply asked as a question.
Well, the gentleman behind you said, "Aren't we best friends? Aren't you
Can I
this?"
ask you a question? Was that a question, yes or no? Was it a question?
It was more of a implication by, it's like putting a headline on the paper and then following the retraction on page 8. I'm just stating to you, there's nothing other than I know them.
Okay, you answered the question that was asked.
So I guess at this position, at this time, what I would say is that we've given the public an opportunity to speak, heard, and understood, and I appreciate the fact that holding accountable to us, that we have to be held accountable, and I understand that, and it's good. My position is on this is that we do have a 30-day clause. We
which is good.
have made public discussion
There's
that
an
we are
issue.
going to get this in place to try more or less on the expedited path to try to figure out what we can do of doing this. And as I restated in the past, this is what makes it always difficult in this position when you are dealing with private individuals, is it does put people in a position. We're in Geauga County, it's a small county, everybody knows everybody, and it's like,
Yeah.
it
You're right.
puts people in a bind sometimes. So I don't like it, and it makes me uncomfortable too. I have no relationship with Mr. Patterson or the Patterson family. For me, it's easy to be able to vote on it, to say that, and I'm gonna say that my recommendation is that we move forward to get this done, just because of the fact that it affects so many other seniors, and it affects our operation, that we know that we can get out of this, but this was perfect. And it gets sometimes hostile and we get put on the hot seat, but cooler heads prevail, and we're gonna get past this, and we're gonna find out what's best for the residents
Yeah.
of this
And
county.
maybe we could be able to find a place
And
that
I
we
think
could
we're all
build
in
a
agreement on
center.
that.
We
I
like
think
that.
that this
Yeah.
is not the ideal location.
Yeah,
It's not the ideal situation,
right.
but not unlike the other issue we had at the end of the year, where the contract, we had to act on it the day before
Right.
it expired. It's
Well,
like,
that's the problem with
it's-
this job.
and-
These contracts come up, and then they're slapped in front of you, and you hardly get,
well,
the
Jessica
time.
has no,
you're right.
Can I make a suggestion then to those contracts?
Guilty.
Whoever in charge of those contracts, they should be 30 days before that's due, come to the commissioner and say, this is coming to in 30 days.
Yeah.
I mean, how hard can that be?
Well,
to
she-
make that
she
we
work?
don't
provides
disagree,
heads up.
except that
Yeah.
she's here
Yeah.
2 months and catching her.
We
I
try to
understand-
email, everything to the commissioners at least a
And I-
week ahead of making, we don't like the deer in the headlight look, because it puts them in a
Well,
tough
it's
spot.
just not fair to the commissioner.
No,
It's not fair
absolutely
to the
not.
citizen that you
Right.
just a mandatory. If you can't get in 30 days before, sorry, we'll do other things. I mean, that's your
Yeah.
job. That's what you're getting paid to do.
And I was aware that the contract was up, I believe the first week of January. That's when I became aware that it was even up on the 31st. And within 24 hours of finding the document, I went to
When
talk
somebody
to our
needs to make you
prosecutor.
aware so you can make them aware, that's the problem.
Well,
That's
she's-
what I'm
Well,
saying.
there was a
She's peddling
breakdown.
fast.
There's
Right.
no
She's new
no
and-
doubt that there was
Yeah, and I'm not
a
saying-
breakdown.
But
I'm not
thank
saying
It's
you.
not her
I think
fault.
To to help
And-
you and to help anybody in that
Thank you.
position.
And that
They
being-
can't just, here, welcome to the job. Here's all
Thank
this
you,
shit.
and that being said, you know,
We
that's
call
not,
these steaming piles.
thank you, well, and thank you so much.
It like the dog in the sausage factory.
And that being said, what we're doing right now is compiling all our leases and all our contracts. I'm conducting a review of them and just making sure, you know, all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed. So that's why, you know, we're moving forward in that direction.
Okay. So if
And
we
and I
can,
agree
let's.
with Ralph, you
Yeah.
know, what you're saying, because, you know, the thing is, and I grew up in Mayfield Heights, I lived there all my life. I knew nobody when I came out here. And everyone said to me, what are you moving out there for, you know? But in time, you meet people, and it's impossible
Yeah,
not
I mean,
to meet. It's impossible that
It's
you're
a,
not
it's
gonna
a,
meet.
it's a family, you know,
Yeah.
county, and it's,
We're very
yeah.
close, and, but I don't think we wanna do anything to
And
discredit
yes,
us.
it was closer 60 years ago.
It
Sure.
was?
Yeah, there was a lot less people.
Oh! Yeah,
So-
60 years ago.
So 60 years ago, you knew,
Well,
Half the
this-
county.
I knew everyone on Mulberry Road from County Line to
Wow.
306, because you used to sell school fundraisers. And you'd ride your bicycle from house to house to house to house and sell some crap that they were Band-Aids or whatever it was, that was the fundraiser. And so in the 50s, you knew everybody.
Well, when my parents moved to Mayfield Heights, it was a dirt road and it was number please. And our street, there was woods all over, and there used to be at Brainerd, there used to be something you'd have to toll road to get onto Mayfield. I was told this, you know. But my mom said it was number please, you know.
Yeah, well, there were
Wow.
party lines
And
as
party
well,
lines.
party lines.
Oh, we had party
I
lines.
believe,
Listening,
I
you
believe
were
in
like
that
two-
case, the Pattersons were on the party line.
Oh, it was on your party
With my
line?
parents, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, you picked up the phone and there's somebody talking on
Little
it.
trip down
It
there.
was, you know, Mulberry Road was
Yeah.
gravel. So, it
Well, that's what
was a
Mayfield
long
Heights
time
was,
ago.
believe it or not. It was.
All right, so
Okay.
let's go ahead
Okay,
and
now
read
that
number
we've,
two.
okay. All right, so you're gonna read the motion?
The Department on Aging is requesting the board approve and execute the sublease agreement between the Geauga County Board of Commissioners and Orchard Hills Center LLC for the West Geauga Senior Center for use of the clubhouse and the main room and caterer's kitchen of the event center during the permitted hours for the period February 1st, 2014 through January 31st, 2015 in the amount of $2,415 per month plus utilities.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Commissioner Sweetie?
Aye.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye. Motion approved.
I don't think we can hit the easy button after
Hit that easy
Where is
button,
it?
Ralph.
Right there.
Oh, it's.
Right there, Ralph.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you,
For your
Ms.
time.
Jessica. All right, there you go. All right, Geauga County Engineer's Office is requesting board approve and execute the final plat for Stonebridge. Is that Dave?
Pete.
Dave
Pete.
or?
Pete.
Or Dave?
Peter Dave. We're all three. We don't see Pete often.
Hi Pete, how are you?
How are you, Pete? Dave comes sauntering up slowly.
Morning.
Morning.
Okay,
You think?
okay.
That's over there off of,
Headbone and 306, the old
very beautiful.
quarry back in there. Sandstone quarry.
Fancy.
Well, I guess what they did back when the state law changed from condominiums where you're allowed to actually own the property that your condo sits on. They changed that from, it's all private. We have nothing to do with the roads. We don't maintain the roads or anything. Bainbridge does not. And they're replatting the lots as they go. They do a couple every time they sell one or two. They'll plat a couple lots.
I see.
And, 6 months down the road, they'll do a few more. Must be about half
Yeah, I'd
done or so of doing that. I think there's 40 lots in there, if I remember right, roughly.
Okay.
And this is what we go through in the planning commission. We go through the plot, one by one at each section, and this is the final.
Well, this is
We
kind of
talked about this.
Yeah, and this one is a little bit different, as Pete noted, because we typically get the entire subdivision in one fell swoop, but as noted, this one started out in life as a condo development,
I see.
and we switched to sublots, and so therefore they had to go through the planning commission and plat, and we developed an agreement with the developer that as each area's, you know, to be completed, they would come in with a phasing, you see. So that's why we're up to number 9 here.
So it still could be even a couple more times.
There are a few more,
Right,
a few
there'll
more
be a
left.
few more.
You think you got it over and it's not.
It's not really the final
Yes, it's all
plat.
private.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
this
Township
for,
doesn't maintain
It's
it.
never the final.
No,
It
it's a
says
point.
it is.
for informational purposes for me, it started as a condominium project.
Correct.
Now they're breaking it up into lots
Correct.
that will be privately owned,
Yes.
and you'll build your own residence on it.
Correct.
And probably it's not a part of an agreement, maintenance agreement for mowing lawns and doing that. It doesn't have that.
No, Commissioner, the only agreement is in regards to, as Pete noted, private roads. The association
Right.
is responsible and not the township, which is a good thing because, say, less burden on the township maintenance department. That was, again, part of our discussion with the developer and the planning commission on that. So the roads are all in, the sewer line
It's
is
serviced by
in.
water resources.
Okay.
And they have individual water wells, there's no central water here.
But
But
the sewer goes to water resources.
sewer is already dedicated, the lines are dedicated, and it's connected to McBroom Creek. Yeah.
Oh,
Now, without seeing a plat of this, is it
No,
gonna-
we'll have one.
We have one here.
oh, we have one.
Oh, well, without looking at it. The existing condominiums are near the front of this development, I'm assuming. So these other plots are gonna be behind that? Is there a time in the future that they're gonna be coming to us for?
It's in a circle.
Okay, now, the common area here, where's the,
It's beautiful, actually.
These are all sublots.
It's real near.
okay, and they're not gonna come to the public, whether it be Bainbridge or the county,
Pettibone Road.
to
Right-
plow this
right-
in the
right there
future
is all
or
private.
maintain it.
No, that's a
Nice.
Bainbridge issue, but they have their own, deed requirements, and they have their own homeowners association there. They take care of.
Well, I can understand that on the
And they're
county.
pretty high-end houses, I'll tell you.
Great.
Now,
Okay, I
Commissioner,
just-
again, I understand your concern, and here again, we, with the developer,
I mean,
we
like
ensured that the
1 million.
language on that plat indicates that each owner understands and acknowledges that he or she is acquiring a lot or a sublot on a private road that will remain private, and the
And that
township
they'll
is not
be
responsible for it.
responsible for the maintenance and upkeep
Yes.
and so on of
Yes.
that. And once the numbers grow greater than the people that are there, it's not gonna come back on
Still
it.
gonna be private.
That's all I
First
just.
through the commissioners in 2008.
Yeah.
That's
You
what
were here, Mary.
Yeah, I was there, I remember. And plus, at the planning commission, we have gone over this so many times.
Yeah, we wanna make sure the
In
bases are
planning.
covered.
When you go, you'll see,
But we,
but they're really high-end, they're
Very
like
nice.
$1 million, aren't they? $1 million.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
they're way
any
up.
questions or we're good?
So, okay.
Okay, if we could read number 3 then?
County Engineer's Office is requesting the board approve and execute the final plat for Stone Hill Geauga subdivision, phase 9 of Bainbridge Township.
I'll make that motion.
A second, I'm sorry,
Moving the-
I'm concentrating on the big sepia.
Well, the
here.
smell of this.
Commissioner Sweeting.
Aye.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye. Motion approved. Number 4, number 5 is going to be canceled, put back on the docket or the agenda for next Tuesday.
The certification.
What, for
did
the-
not
Oh,
come
they
through.
get it from the auditor.
Oh, the
mental
mental
health.
health thing? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So number 6 is Department of Water Resources. Doug and Jerry.
I got it.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, the first one is for, to ask permission to repost for the civil engineering position.
The rubber band over, they get that rubber band.
We advertised 3 times in the Plain Dealer, once in New Carroll, to Cleveland State, Akron, and Youngstown, and we got 2 applications. One didn't have an engineering degree, one did. And we did interview the person, and they told us a couple of times that they're almost positive they could never get their PE license within the year, or whatever, so. It was,
So,
yeah. So we're asking to re-advertise, and this time it'll be like $1.50 more an hour. We're asking for, we'll go from step 1 to step 3,
Okay.
okay.
so.
Makes sense.
Again, we'll put it in the paper, and we'll go to all 3 universities and see what happens.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
you'll get some, little snakes.
With the first one, we pretty much exhausted every possible location of where we could be advertising at to get the word out.
Yeah, even the county engineer side and the county commissioner side too.
Okay.
I mean, we discussed, I said the only other alternative would be to hire a headhunter, and that's very expensive.
Right,
Oh,
right.
we don't wanna do that.
No.
Oh.
Okay, so number 6, if we could read that.
Department of Water Resources is requesting the board grant permission to re-advertise for the position of full-time design engineer, number 2305, at grade WR8, step 3, for the Department of Water Resources. This position will remain posted until filled.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Smeedy.
Aye.
Commissioner Reer.
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier.
Aye. Motion approved. Number 7.
Okay, next one, next two are for Thompson. And I just got a little handout there. The first one is for the letter going to USDA, telling them that we're not gonna ask for interim financing, that we're actually going to, right when the project is ready to be awarded, we're just gonna go right away with their grant and loan instantly. The key plus on that is that agreement that came up earlier last year when they finally agreed to let us use all their grant and loan money, is they're gonna allow us to apply some of the excess grant and loan money to our Parkman loan that we had from 4 or 5 years ago. So, I thought maybe I should go through the sheet and explain it as we get to it. So all the loans and grants here are showing that we have a grand total of 4.7 million in loan and grant money available to us now.
Okay.
We only need 3.6 of it. So then the leftover balance of a little over $1 million, they're gonna allow us to apply to the Parkman loan and refinance that from
that's great.
4.375% down to 2.75%.
Now, would that lower
nice.
some of the cost for the people in Parkman on their sewer rates
Well,
because of that?
But
Would
but
that
at the end of the
be-
day, what we're gonna do is, we have Parkman and Thompson both at the same rate, and since they're joint in this effort, in other words, it's the loan for Parkman's gonna go down because of Thompson. and
Right.
Thompson's gonna save because of Parkman. So
Okay.
together, they're at the same rate. So at the end of the day, in 2 years, when we're all said and done with the project, we'll analyze to see where we're at. If
So
we can
then
lower
maybe we could lower it
their
for them?
$75 a month down to maybe 70 or 65 a month.
That would be really,
Yeah. The grand total savings from going this route is we're saving right around, 280,000 and 150,000, so that's right around, 430,000 in interest over 35 years. They're going this route there.
Because Doug, on this here, we're getting this grant, but we're paying it back.
Right.
Yeah, it's.
We already have this loan in
Yeah, we
place,
pay
we have
it back.
35 years to pay it off,
Yeah.
so now we're lowering the interest rate from 4 point something to 2 point something.
Okay,
Basically allowing us to refinance the Parkland loan
yeah,
with utilizing the loan from Thompson.
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So that's what this letter, the first motion is asking, that we are gonna go this process, and we're not gonna ask for interim financing from somebody else until the project is over with. So that's what the first motion is for.
Okay, so if we could read number 7.
Department of Water Resources is requesting the board authorize the president of the board to execute the letter of request to use the Rural Development Loan Multiple Advance Method for Thompson Sewer Project in Thompson Township.
so moved.
Second.
Commissioner Smeedy.
Aye.
Commissioner Reer.
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier.
Aye, motion approved. Number 8 is in regards to the Thompson project again.
Yeah. Something that I thought might never have ever happened, but we're actually gonna ask to go to advertise a bid for this project, so. It was doubtful for a while there, yeah. So, Jerry can give you the approximate cost estimates for it, and then in the bid thing, we have the original location of the treatment plant site, and then we have the alternative in there, and we have to give a 15-day notice to see if we can take that second site. So Jerry will sort of explain that real quick.
The contract's being broken up into two, one for the treatment plant and pump station, and then one for just the sewer line. We found out when we did Parkman years ago that was kind of the best way to get, you're not winding up with one contractor then working with another contractor, because there's you got the different specialization, somebody who puts pipe in the ground versus somebody who does the buildings and treatment plants.
Okay.
So that way we hopefully get a better overall cost or price for the whole project.
Okay.
Right now, the treatment plant site, the cost, the engineer's estimate is 1.9 million, and then the sewer line is a little less than 1 million.
And as far as the location change, where you're applying for that secondary?
Right, we're doing it as an alternate, we're bidding it, the base bid is the site number one, which was the previous site.
Okay, yep.
That we had dealt with,
And we're gonna move it over to
and
the corner?
what we have currently approved through the USDA.
Okay.
And we're bidding it out with an alternate for the second, because we're
Site.
trying to accommodate all of the funding sources with the public notices and such. We figured that way we can still go through the bidding process at the same time and not have to wait another 15 to 30 days to
Okay.
go out to bid.
Perfect.
You feel fairly comfortable?
CDBG, their only requirement is just to contact all the owners surrounding that area and give them 15 days notice.
Okay.
USDA, I think if they see that we have both purchase agreements with Sidley in place, ready to go, they shouldn't have an issue with it.
Okay.
But we're hoping on that end of it, so.
Okay, yeah, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for the,
Yeah.
And second site.
So second, case number 2 is the second site.
Okay.
No, the one
Thank
thing
you
with
for
with
doing that.
either site being site number one or site number two, the discharge is still at the same location.
Yeah.
So that way we can have to go back to the EPA and get them to approve.
No, that makes sense.
Difference
So you
is
just
some
go
more
up and
pipe.
around and.
Right.
Difference is
Some-
more
some
ditch and more
additional-
pipe.
Yeah, the plan, going from site one to site two is basically taking the same construction and footprint from site one and putting it on site two.
Okay.
So it's just the
So
additional pipe for the
that
discharge.
won't make a problem with that right angle?
No, there'll just be a manhole there. It's
Oh,
like
is it,
yeah,
so
like
we have a
there would be
clean
any
out
other-
to
yeah.
get access,
Exactly.
that would
Like
be
any
the
other
only
sewer
question.
line that
Okay.
had that distance, so we would
Okay.
have had the 1,000 feet or so, we would have had at least 2 manholes on that discharge line
Now,
to begin.
I do have one question. Are you giving that homeowner, that, the one woman that came in here, will she have an option to tie into this if she wants?
The
want.
sewer line is still going out to that area.
So she would have that
in the future, she would
option.
have that option.
Yeah, because I
And
think
it'd be
that's
the-
a plus,
the
for
trustees
them,
at-
Absolutely.
The
Yeah.
trustees at one point, when they were here, that they, we'd have to amend the 208, which would start with them saying they're okay with that being
But
included.
in order,
And thank you for doing.
in order for them to do that, I mean, this is the discharge line, so they can't just tie in.
No, they would
They've
have
got
to
to
tie-
run a line all the way
Well,
back
they
out
have
to
to-
the street.
Yeah, but they
And
do.
then come across to the facility.
But
Yeah.
years down the road, if there's
Well,
septic
right,
system
they have the
fails,
option to do
the
that.
cost to
That's-
run that
I mean,
line
how
up
great
to
is
the,
that?
up to Thompson
Fraction
would
of
be
what
the
it would
same,
be,
yeah.
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 Worse
I mean,
to be the
that's
same
ideal.
as to put
Look
it
at
in your
that.
septic system,
Very
whatever
lucky.
the rules are at that point.
Yeah, if they're allowed to put in a septic system
No,
by that time.
we appreciate it. That's a huge help for what was the last name of the
I can't remember.
Wilson family?
Yeah.
Wilson,
Yeah.
yeah, Wilson,
Yep.
yeah. Thank you. And,
Okay.
and for, Mr. Johnson, or Smith, Ben Smith? Ben Smith also, because he lived right across from it. So I think that was a courtesy to
Yeah.
We are gonna move it closer to, there is gonna be a couple residents there, but the key
Yeah.
on this is, right now in their backyard, they have the church wastewater treatment plant, which is, supposedly sort of loud, so we're putting our treatment plant in place of it, sort of next to it.
What's it, that little
Oh.
box there next to the
Yeah.
church? That's
Mhm.
that's the reason.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So-
That sounds
So
good.
that treatment
Well, I
plant will be
sure would like to
eliminated with
have
the
an
project.
option to
Okay.
get into sewer plant myself.
All right, if we could read number 8 then.
Department of Water Resources is requesting the board grant permission to advertise for bids for the Thompson Sewer Project in Thompson Township, to be held Wednesday, March 5th, 2014 at 2 p.m. Notice of this bid opening will be advertised on February 7th, 2014, February 14th, 2014, and February 21st, 2014, and on the title site.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Commissioner Smeedy?
Aye.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye. Motion approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Under the acknowledgements that there was a weekly report filed by the dog warden.
Could I add one other acknowledgement?
Yeah.
I thought it should be in the minutes. I think you all got this, there's a letter we got from the city of Chardon, just again asking for the bike trailers. So you were all copied on that.
Okay.
I just thought in our minutes, we should acknowledge we received
Okay.
that letter.
So we'll acknowledge that we received the letter. As far as for the meetings, we have a commissioners meeting on the 4th of February. On the 6th of February, there'll be no session as a result of the new schedule. On the 11th, commissioners hold regular session, and on the 13th, we'll have a regular session also.
Make a motion to adjourn, Ralph?
All in favor, aye.
Yes.
Sure, good.
Good.